All right, so let's talk about the incredible benefits of greens. So when I talk about greens, I mean those rich, dark green vegetables like kale, spinach, broccoli, arugula, chard. I ate tons of chard when I was in the Peace Corps. It grew like a weed. Swiss chard was my favorite food when I was there. So they're really superstars of the health food world. And why is that? Well, generally speaking, they're relatively low in calories and minerals and those all important phytonutrients. So let's talk about 12 incredible reasons and 12 benefits of why we should be eating our greens. So greens in general help to fight inflammation. So number one, help to fight inflammation. So you know, particularly if you're here listening to me, that inflammation is the root cause of pretty much all chronic illness. So it's really important that we're that we're fighting inflammation any place and anytime we can. So particularly if you're dealing with autoimmunity, this is so important. And I talk about how with the autoimmune spectrum, it can be down here with no inflammation, all the way up here with autoimmunity, or somewhere in between. That's where most of the world lives, is somewhere in between on the spectrum with inflammation. And then, of course, many of you following me have already worked your way up to having a diagnosis of autoimmunity, or you suspect you do. But hopefully you're also working your way back down. And greens, or these leafy green vegetables, can be very important in trying to do that. So greens are very rich in antioxidants and phenols, and many people with autoimmune and chronic health conditions are low in antioxidants, whether that's because genetically they're sort of predisposed to that, or that they have, their illness has actually led them to, need to use more of their antioxidants up, and so they are deficient. So antioxidants and polyphenols are considered to be disease-fighting compounds because they have anti-inflammatory properties. Okay, so reason number two, it helps to repair leaky gut. So all of you guys know who are following me that leaky gut is really one of the main root causes for virtually all chronic illness, but particularly autoimmunity itself. So scientists have recently discovered a gene, and it's called T-BET, B-E-T. And this gene actually gets switched on by eating cruciferous veggies. So when you're eating broccoli or Brussels sprouts, this gene actually gets turned on. And when we turn on this gene, it actually helps precursor cells in the gut lining to produce what are called innate lymphocyte cells. And these innate, or ILCs, actually help us to repair our leaky gut. So that sounds like a really good thing, doesn't it? You could literally be eating these cruciferous vegetables and helping your own genes get turned on that help to support new cells that help to repair your gut. And it also helps to protect against gut infections and inflammation. And then, of course, when we're doing all of this, this can help to reduce food allergies and sensitivities, and in general, just support a healthy immune response. So now, of course, one of the questions you're probably thinking, or you're wanting or waiting to ask, particularly if you're dealing with thyroid conditions like Hashimoto's or Graves', is, well, what about cruciferous vegetables and my Graves'? Or what about cruciferous vegetables and my Hashimoto's? I heard I shouldn't eat a lot of cruciferous vegetables if I'm dealing with a thyroid disorder. And you can read in my book, The Thyroid Connection, how I talk all about this. And my personal opinion is very, very few people. In fact, I've never seen anybody in my clinic after working with thousands of people with thyroid conditions that were actually eating so many cruciferous vegetables that it did affect their thyroid function. Now, it is out in the literature that you do need to be concerned about this, but it's not something I've actually seen clinically. Maybe there are people out there that this is happening with, But for the vast majority of us, we're not eating enough for it to really affect the thyroid. And think of all the amazing benefits that you'd be missing out on, like stimulating your ILCs and repairing your gut and decreasing inflammation and boosting your antioxidants if you weren't eating these cruciferous vegetables in their real whole food state. So I do find, as with most things when we're looking at health, you need to look at the risk and you need to look at the benefit. And this is one where I really feel that the benefit far outweighs any risk. Okay, so number 3, greens help to boost digestive enzymes. So we all need digestive enzymes in order to break down our food. You know, I often say it's not you are what you eat, but it's you are what you digest and absorb. And we need these enzymes in order to properly digest and absorb our food. I see lots of people in my clinic and they're eating really good diets, but for whatever reason, they're low in digestive enzymes and then they're low in nutrients. And that's not because they're not eating them, it's because they're not able to properly digest and then absorb and assimilate all of the key nutrients that they're eating. So because of leaky gut, because of inflammation, food sensitivities, aging, chronic stress, low stomach acid, medications, there's a whole list of reasons why you could be low in digestive enzymes. So leafy green vegetables help to support your body's natural ability to produce digestive enzymes. Number 4, leafy greens and green juices help to support detoxification. So if you are familiar with me, you know that I have 4 pillars to the Myers way. And the 3rd pillar is tame the toxins. Part of taming the toxins is preventing them from coming in the first place. But the other step, it's a 2-step process in taming toxins, is to help get the toxins out, prevent them from coming in, and then support them from getting out. So greens are experts in detoxifying, thanks to those pigmented greens that make them green, which is called chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is an amazing detoxifier. So chlorophyll is found in things like spirulina, chlorella, parsley, alfalfa, and what it does is it helps to bind toxins and then carry them out of your system. So I have a supplement on my website called Heavy Metal Detox, and it has a lot of the spirulina, the chlorella, the alfalfa in them because it's known in cilantro to help pull out the toxins and bind them. So my 1-2 punch in all situations is glutathione to get it out, and then something like charcoal, like chlorella, like spirulina, like alfalfa to bind it and help get it out. So this can be really helpful, as I already mentioned, in helping to clear heavy metals such as mercury or lead because they're natural chelators. And then chlorophyll itself helps to cleanse the liver by supporting your detox pathways, and it helps to keep your toxic burden low. And leafy greens are very alkaline. So when our body is in an acidic state, it can promote a disease state. And when it's in an alkaline state or a more basic state, if you're thinking back to chemistry, it's where our cells can act the best, where they're naturally happy, where they're naturally functioning optimally when they're living in an alkaline environment. So leafy greens help to create an alkaline environment in your system and within your cells, which then helps them to do a better job of dealing with waste and helping to support detoxification. All right, reason number 5 to be eating greens is that they actually can help you to relieve stress. Again, another one of the pillars of the Myers way, the 4th pillar, relieve your stress. So greens can be an excellent source of folate, which helps to produce mood-regulating neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin. So there was a recent study from the Journal of Affective Disorders, which is like depression and anxiety, so affective disorders, found that middle-aged people and elderly who ate more folate had a lower risk of depression. So just another way to help regulate your mood and to relieve stress. Eating those greens, super duper important. And of course, protecting your brain. Number 6, protecting your brain. So there's a study that found that people who ate mostly leafy greens every day had slower rates of cognitive decline as they aged. So the greens eaters who had the memory equivalent of someone 11 years younger. So just by eating greens, you can help to protect your memory. So if you know anybody who's aging or dealing with cognitive issues, having them up their greens level could be a really good idea for them. Again, risk benefit. What's the risk? Well, of course, if there's somebody who's on Coumadin or a blood thinner or something like that, there might be a risk because a lot of greens have vitamin K in that. And so they'd want to discuss that with their physician. But short of that, very little risk in eating your greens. And in general, there is no risk in eating greens. That's a man-made risk by having you take a medication that then eating greens can affect. But in general, very little risk of eating our greens, yet positive impact on the brain and on the mood, particularly the elderly. 11 years younger, I don't know if I want a brain right now 11 years younger because I feel like mine's working pretty well. But maybe when I'm in my 70s or 80s, I'll take one that's 11 years younger. All right, reason number 7 to eat your greens, building strong bones. So, people often ask me, you eliminate dairy on the Myers way. Is that safe? Where am I going to get my calcium? Well, leafy greens contain an abundant amount of calcium. In fact, they're an incredible source of calcium without adding inflammation, potential growth hormone, and potential antibiotics that you could be getting from eating dairy. And some studies show that we can absorb the calcium much better. It's assimilated and absorbed and used much more effectively and efficiently than the calcium coming from dairy itself. So broccoli and kale also contain vitamin K, which is super important. If you've heard me talk about vitamin D and calcium and bone health, you know that I never want you to take vitamin D unless you're also taking vitamin K, because it helps to actually get the absorption of the calcium into the bones to help it increase bone density rather than putting the calcification somewhere like your arteries if you're only taking vitamin D by itself. So super important to be taking vitamin K or eating your vitamin K when you're doing that. And again, that goes back to if anybody's on Coumadin or any type of blood thinner that can be affected by vitamin K, because these vegetables are so rich in vitamin K, you'd want to speak with your physician and talk to them about potentially changing your dose or tweaking that based on your new intake of greens. All right, reason number 8 to eat your greens. Greens help improve insulin sensitivity. So anybody out there dealing with blood sugar issues might actually be diagnosed with diabetes, having what's called metabolic syndrome. Greens can help you improve your insulin sensitivity. So help you to balance your blood sugar and be able to utilize your glucose much better by making sure that your insulin isn't getting resistant to all of that glucose. So a recent study found that eating just a little over 1 extra serving of greens a day can reduce your diabetes risk by 14%. And that's just 1 serving of greens. Imagine if you're eating a few servings of greens, reducing your risk of diabetes just by adding greens into your diet. It's amazing. I'm sure that has to do with the nutrient content and also the fiber content of all of the vegetables. And of course, it's super key that if you have a thyroid condition, that you're not having lots of swings in your blood sugar, because swings in your blood sugar can actually cause anxiety to your system, increase your cortisol, which can then affect your conversion of your thyroid hormone and cause you to convert more to the reverse T3 or the brake rather than to the free T3 or the gas. So super duper important that we're dealing with our stress and our blood sugar if we're someone, even if you're not somebody currently diagnosed with a thyroid condition, but you just want to have an optimal thyroid response. All right, reason number 9 of why we should be eating greens or drinking green juice. Greens are rich in potassium, which are responsible for fluid balance in your body. So in our modern day diets, we're really high in sodium. And if you remember back to chemistry class, everything is about what sodium's doing and what potassium's doing and how it's coming in and out of the cell. So more sodium in our diet means less potassium in our cell. So the USDA recommended dose of potassium is 4,700 milligrams, or 1 cup of spinach, which packs about 840. So 1 cup of spinach, which if you think about it, spinach, particularly if you're not trying to, super pack it down, you can easily, in a couple cups of spinach, maybe add in a banana, you're hitting that recommended daily dose. But you got to eat a lot of these things to get up there. And then if you're somebody who's eating more salt in your diet, you might even need to up that potassium level to counteract the sodium. So it's very important to make sure that you're getting lots of rich potassium so that you are not, when you have more salt and less potassium, then you'll find what we call that water weight, where you overnight you say, oh, I ate a hamburger yesterday or ate some French fries and they were full of all that sodium, or you ate some packaged meat, or my favorite, bacon. You ate that and then you sort of swelled up and your ring doesn't fit anymore, or you're wearing a pair of pants and your socks leave that little ring. I know. Have you ever had that happen? It happens to all of us, even to me on occasion, because I love my bacon. You need to make sure that you're getting the right amount of potassium to counteract that. All right, reason number 10. Greens can help make your skin glow. So beta carotene is actually hiding in a lot of leafy greens. And we typically think of beta carotene in those orange and yellow vegetables and fruits, right? Like carrots, the orange carrots. Well, the chlorophyll that makes them green gets covered up with the orange. Excuse me. The chlorophyll covers up the orange and makes them green. So the leaves turn yellow and orange during the fall as they lose their chlorophyll. So beta carotene is very helpful if you're dealing with skin issues. Also, if you're dealing with thyroid issues, we need that vitamin A. It gets converted, beta carotene, into vitamin A, and that's super helpful in the conversion of our T4, which is inactive, to our free T3. And beta carotene, you've probably seen vitamin A, even beta carotene, in a lot of skin products, creams, anti-aging products, and that's because beta carotene and vitamin A can give your skin a very youthful and healthy glow. Number 11, greens may help extend your lifespan. So greens have the ability to delay the shortening of telomeres. So telomeres are these little protective caps that sit on our DNA, and over time, they shorten with age. So there's a lot of testing companies popping up about telomeres to see your telomere length, to really see, kind of frankly, what is your life expectancy? Now, I don't know the validity of those tests and how accurate they are, but certainly it's well known that the shorter your telomeres, the more quickly you are aging. And greens have the ability to help stop the shortening of those telomeres. So once the telomere is gone, the cell dies. And as your cells begin to die, then things happen to us. Chronic disease develop, cancers develop, and eventually we ourselves die. So broccoli sprouts are particularly great for preserving telomere length. Plus, they're rich in antioxidants that, of course, help us to promote optimal aging, beautiful skin like we've already talked about, and are protective when we're dealing with a chronic health condition. All right, So number 12, and in our list, last but not least, and certainly there are many more benefits than just 12 benefits to drinking greens or eating greens daily. However, we thought 12 was a good number and a lot of information. So we know that greens may actually help to prevent cancer. So greens such as moringa, which is a leaf that can help protect your cells from oxidative damage. So when we have oxidative damage, that leads to mutations in the cell and can potentially lead to cancer growth. So we also know that cancer is linked to leaky gut, and we've already talked about how greens can benefit. You can benefit from greens in healing your gut or helping to support a healthy gut. And also cancer is linked to inflammation. Cancer is an inflammatory response, and we've already discussed how greens have anti-inflammatory properties. So we know that when we're keeping our gut healthy, when we're in a low inflammatory state, that our cells are working in an optimal environment. And also when we're in an alkaline environment, our cells are acting optimally, and then they're not going to turn into icky, cancerous, mutated cells because they're acting optimally and they're in an optimal environment where they have the nutrients they need. They're in an anti-inflammatory state. They're in an alkaline state. They're in a very antioxidant rich state. So all of these things are helpful to support an optimal cell environment. So studies have also linked cruciferous vegetables, particularly broccoli, arugula, and kale. They've been linking those in reducing risk of certain types of cancers in particular, which in all of these are somewhat related: colorectal cancer, pancreatic cancer, ovarian cancer, and bladder cancer in particular. I would also say breast cancer as well, because we do know that the active benefits or ingredients that come from cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, such as DIM or IC3, are very helpful in swaying what's called the 2 to 16 ratio. The 16-OH methyl hydroxy is considered cancer causing, and the 2-OH methyl hydroxy is considered cancer protective. And we know that taking IC3 or DIM can help sway from the cancer causing to the cancer protective. And those are found in broccoli and other cruciferous vegetables, but broccoli in particular. All right, so that was a lot of information, but totally amazing information that just by eating a diet rich in greens can have an amazing amount of benefits. I've just mentioned 12, but there are even more. But the problem is our current modern day diet, for many, many of us, isn't very rich in leafy green vegetables like chlorella, like spirulina, like moringa, like alfalfa, like parsley. You know, parsley is considered that garnishment garnish on your plate, right? Who's eating lots of parsley? Not a lot of people. Moringa, who's even heard of it, right? Where are you getting spirulina or chlorella unless you're taking it as a supplement? So our diet is not rich in these foods that we used to eat back in the day. So, and even those ones that we are more familiar with, like kale, broccoli, and spinach, many of us still aren't even getting enough of those. Or if we are eating them, many people are not absorbing them properly. So what is a good way to get more of this in our diet? Besides just, cooking it and eating it in our diets, how can we get even more? Well, this is why green juice has become so wildly popular, because you can drink your green juice and get many, many of the benefits that you would by eating the actual vegetable. In fact, some would even tell you you can get more of the nutrients because your body isn't having to process as much, and it's getting absorbed much more quickly. So when you eat a head of broccoli, and who's going to eat a whole head of broccoli, you have to chew it, and digest it and absorb it. And then there's a lot of fiber. And so you're getting full as you're eating it. And then your body needs to convert and break down all that fiber and then extract all the nutrients. But when you make a green juice in your juicer, it is extracting all of those nutrients while, getting, what you do miss is you get rid of the fiber. But it's super easy. And many people will say, particularly if you're drinking green juice on an empty stomach, that you're getting that burst of those antioxidants, of the phytonutrients, which is why a lot of people feel really great after they finish drinking a green juice. I mean, have you ever had a green juice and then suddenly you feel energized? So it's a way to just get a lot of green vegetables in one simple glass. However, making your own juice can be time consuming. You got to go to the grocery store. You've got to wash, you've got to clean, depending on your juicer, you might need to chop it. And then don't even get me started on, like juicers can be expensive, and then you got to clean them up. I mean, that's the worst part, is the mess coming from your juicer, right? And then unless you've got a compost pile, you're dealing with all the aftermath and all the waste. So the other option is you could go buy a green juice. You could go to your local juice stand, which is a great alternative, but they're expensive. I mean, I don't know about where you are, but in Austin, you can't get a green juice under $10. And if you are, it's definitely not organic. And even the ones that are $10 or more, they're not always organic. Then you're drinking it out of a plastic cup and you're getting toxins there. Or you can go down to your local grocery store, but then likely it's been pasteurized, which kills a lot of the beneficial ingredients and properties to the green juice in the first place. So, next time you go to your juice stand, ask them, is everything in your juice organic? We have one juice place here, and I'm not knocking them. It's really great. All their vegetables are organic, but their fruit's not. So if you need a little apple or a little something to add to your juice to make it palatable for you, not going to work. And on the Dirty Dozen, apples are one of the most toxic ingredients that there are. So sometimes when you're trying to do something healthy, you could actually be getting more toxins in your system than if you didn't drink the damn green juice in the first place. And then you might walk into your grocery store and you see it and it has the big organic seal on it and you're like, I'm good to go. But it's still sitting there in a plastic bottle and it's likely been pasteurized. There's a process that is high pressure pasteurization, HPP. And that certainly is better than actually heat pasteurization. However, it is well known that still many of the nutrients are killed in that pasteurization process. And they have to do that in order to put it on the shelf because there's a liability if you're eating something raw and it's sitting on the shelf for some extended period of time. So you guys have been asking me for this for a very long time, and my patients have been asking it of me for even longer than you have. Why don't you have a greens powder? Why don't you have this? Well, I looked at greens powders out there, and I could have bought a greens powder, and I could have thrown my label on it and claimed it was my greens powder. But almost every single one of them that I looked at had wheatgrass in it, had barley grass in it, and those can be filled with phytonutrients. But for those of us with autoimmunity, for those of us who are concerned, is there any gluten there? Could there be any cross-contamination? What's going on? I didn't want to have that for you, and I didn't want to have that for me. So I wasn't drinking a green juice powder. And then other ones that I looked at, they weren't 100% organic. Or they might have some organic ingredients, but then they skimped in order to make the price point lower, where one of the main ingredients might not be organic. Or something like the apples, like I just talked to you about, might not be organic. And those are super high in pesticides. So frankly, I couldn't find a greens powder that I felt comfortable putting my name on. So what I do, I created my own. And that's where Clean Greens comes in. And I helped hand source all the ingredients here. Like I said, they are certified organic. Each of the individual ingredients is certified organic. Now, this product, we will get certified organic, and you'll see that seal very soon. We opted not to do that on the first round because I just wanted to make sure you love the product. And as soon as I know you love the product as much as I love the product, as much as my family loves the product, as much as my team loves the product, then we'll go back and we'll pay for the testing and we'll get the seal. But you can see very clearly on all the individual ingredients that you see organic right ahead of each of them. So that is why the seal is not here, but please know everything in here is certified organic. They sourced each ingredient as a certified organic ingredient. So in my greens powder, you are going to find organic spinach, organic broccoli sprouts, organic kale, organic alfalfa, organic parsley, organic moringa, organic spirulina, and organic chlorella. So those are all the top greens that I was just telling you about that have detox properties, that have anti-inflammatory properties, that help to help support a healthy gut, that help to support your immune system and your stress response. They're loaded with essential nutrients that provide all the benefits that I just finished talking about. And of course, they're alkaline, so it's helping to support detoxification and deliver a boost of antioxidants. We have the spirulina and the chlorella, just like I mentioned, that are excellent in helping with detoxification. I've also included Peruvian Maca and Ashwagandha, both of which are adaptogenic herbs that help to support a balanced stress response. Maca itself helps in addition to balance your hormones and promotes mental clarity. Ashwagandha promotes an optimal immune function. Now, I've already had a few questions about ashwagandha, and is it a nightshade, and can someone who's dealing with autoimmunity use ashwagandha? And again, this goes back sort of to the question about cruciferous vegetables and your thyroid. I don't know if anybody's eating enough ashwagandha for it to have caused a real immune problem for them. So, and in my product in particular, we've extracted out the part of ashwagandha that we needed to help support immune function. So it is not considered in that state as a nightshade and is not considered to be something that would cause an inflammatory or an immune response for people. We also wanted our clean greens to be extra anti-inflammatory, and so we infused it with turmeric and ginger to help support a balanced inflammatory response. And then, of course, I've included organic apples. No regular apples here, no toxic apples in our product, and organic beets, which allow it to be high in vitamin C and B vitamins. The beets help to boost your nitric oxide levels. And, of course, they provide a mild, sweet flavor. So what I love about our greens powder is that there's none of that grassy flavor that you get because we don't have barley grass or wheat grass in it. And we didn't make it sickly sweet with a bunch of icky sweeteners. We used all natural sweeteners. How did we get this powder in a dried powder form? So all of the ingredients are either air dried or drum dried, and then they're ground into the powder. So that preserves the maximum nutrient content. So I know that you're going to love this greens powder. We had a huge taste test going on over here at the office before we decided on this exact formula. And if you don't believe me, will you believe my 15-month-old daughter? Well, go check out my Instagram, and you'll see on my Instagram stories that Elle loves it too. Elle loves drinking this greens powder every day. She drinks it either just plain with me. We often will put it in my little best mom ever mug, which is my Mother's Day gift from she and Javier. And we put it in here. I should have done a demonstration for you. I should put it in here. It tastes fantastic over ice. And then we get 2 little metal straws. And I tell her it's like we're going steady back in the old days where you used to drink your malt and we share it with our straws. So we go steady with smoothies and with green powders. So either we'll do it just with filtered water, ice, and greens powder. I recommend putting the powder in with the water and stirring it up and then adding the ice. Or I will also put a scoop in smoothies, which she loves. If you haven't seen her with smoothies, when she hears that blender going, man, it is like, who knows what, like a dog ringing the bell and they know it's dinner time. She hears that smoothie going and she just starts pointing and because she's ready for her smoothie. So it is seriously delicious. It's passed the taste test. It even passed the taste test of my nanny, Digna, who is a Coca-Cola and regular juice fan, she actually will drink the greens as well. So if it's past Elle's test and it's past Nana's test, we know we're good to go. So it's completely gluten-free because we don't have barley grass, we don't have wheatgrass in it, so you don't even need to second guess about that. And we have the beets and some apples, a little bit of monk fruit and organic stevia, and it tastes amazing. And the best part is, if you're somebody who's doing a keto diet or concerned about blood sugar issues because you have diabetes or pre-diabetes or something, it only has 1 gram of sugar in the entire in each serving. Now compare if you're going, many of the juices in the grocery store, because they're being made for the masses, they load them up with fruits, and so they can have 20, 30, or even 40 grams of sugar. Just turn one of those bottles over when you're in the grocery store and take a look. It's quite shocking. So this has the sweetness, a subtle sweetness. It is not a overpowering sweetness, a subtle sweetness to make it palatable without any of those carbs or grams of sugar. Now, when we were researching, what does this equate to? If we were to take 30 grams of juice servings and go to your local juice bar, that came out to be about $255, which is 6 times more expensive than this Clean Greens powder. And again, most green juice bars or most juice bars aren't even using all 100% organic ingredients. If you don't believe me, ask next time you go. Then, of course, if you were to make your own juice, which of course is much less expensive than if you went to a local juice bar, it'd be about $80 to make all the juice that we would make in this particular bottle. So don't forget about all the time, the energy, the prepping. What is your time worth? Going to the store, buying the ingredients, buying a juicer, cleaning up the juicer, right? When you can simply add 1 scoop into 8 ounces of water, stir, and enjoy. It's only $1.33 per serving. Again, a green juice at your local juice market is going to be at least $10 and likely not organic. And one other thing that I want to point out, will be watered down with celery and with cucumber. So most juices have a lot of celery and have a lot of cucumber. We have no celery, no cucumber in here. This is purified, dried, real leafy green veggies that are phytonutrient rich. And of course, like all our supplements, completely free of gluten, dairy, soy, corn, and they always come with a 30-day money-back guarantee on my store. So if you want to try Clean Greens, I have a way for you to do that. And I can't wait for you to try it.